So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thank you very much for your participation here. This is the fourth day that we organize in Hellenic Mediterranean University in collaboration with the Athena European Alliance, the celebration of the Erasmus Days of 2023. And the last 3 days, we had a very fruitful discussion with the students, with the academics about the internationalization. And we have collected very nice ideas that I will share with you after I will summarize all the discussions in order, for new ideas, new collaborations, but also to take into your consideration what are the opinions of the different stakeholders. And in the first day, we have a very nice discussion about the collaboration with Africa. I will send and I will share with you all the videos in order to be available to you, but also through our website of the Erasmus 2023 days. You can check the YouTube links and you can follow the discussion. So for me, it's a great pleasure to have together with us very distinguished speakers and panelists about the European universities, which is like a vision, a challenge at the same time. But I think that it's the future of the higher education. So I will present the panelists one by one. Professor Dimitrios Karadimas, an ex-vice rector of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. He represents Civis. Dimitrios, thank you very much. We really appreciate your presentation here, and we know your vision, and you are one of the first pioneers and the reference point in Greece, together with other colleagues in Greece, about European universities. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, Kostas. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Professor Joseph Giorgos from the University of Maribor, the head of Athena, or one of the co-leaders of the Athena collaborated actions within the framework of research. Thank you very much, Giorgos, for your presentation. Then we have our colleague, let's see, another perspective outside of the university, but very related to the universities, Dr. Sebastian Streit from the Civis Academy, academic consulting company in Spain. Sebastian, thank you very much for your time and your contribution in our discussion. Then I will move on to Stefania Economou, that she works together with the European universities, and she's leading and they are coordinating some projects together with the European University Alliances. Stefania, thank you very much. And finally, I would like to welcome Kis Kouvenar. I hope that I have pronounced your name correctly. I'm sorry about my mistakes and about my Greek accent, but this is me. That he represents Aurora European Alliance. So I'm starting directly with the questions in order to keep the time, but of course you are more than welcome in order to, I will say, to intervene whenever you wish and, state your opinion. Of course, for the audience, thank you very much. You can write your questions on the chat, or at the end of the discussion. We would like to keep, the time, and within the next 60 minutes to have finished. I will start, the discussion starting from Kis, because I know some of you have very strict schedule. The first question is to Dimitrios, Joseph, Kis, and Stefania, but I will ask from Kis and Joseph to start with this, and within maximum 5 minutes to share with us what is the vision of the European Alliance that you participate, what are the main transformations that the European Alliance has introduced to the partner university and to your institution, and explain to us why do you participate in the European University Alliance. So I'm starting. What is the vision? What are the main transformations to the individual units, the universities, and share with us, this information. I will start with Kis, then Joseph, then to Dimitrios, and then I will move to these three speakers. Stefania, I will include you later on about the project. So let's start with Kis, then Joseph, and then Dimitrios. The floor is yours, Kis. Thank you.
Thank you, Kostas. Yes, and I have to leave already at 10:30, which is why Kostas gave me the floor first. I apologize. I would like to be there for longer. So Aurora actually was founded independent from the whole European Universities Initiative already in 2016 as a group of like-minded, research-intensive universities that came together because they felt that there is no tension, and there should be no tension, between academic excellence, research intensity in terms of top 5–10% in citation rankings, and societal impact as the driving force of the university. So we were preceding the initiative, and then we joined. Our motto has been from the start, matching academic excellence with societal relevance. And for the 2020-23 first phase of the European University Program, we zoomed in a little bit on education, because the Commission had problems allowing us to walk on two legs, on the education and the research leg. So we zoomed in on our vision of equipping graduates with not just the subject expertise, but also the skills and mindsets to help address problems in society. And this is what we've been trying to do within the first phase of the program. What are the main transformations? Honestly, this is very early to say. There is a big problem in the European University alliances between what we are trying to achieve and the mechanisms that the Commission gives us to achieve it, but in fact makes it difficult for us to achieve. They force us to give crazy promises, then we have to pretend that we have the deliverables, but underneath these two, the real value of beginning transformation stays hidden. And they know that. They say, we don't see it. We know it's there and we don't see it. Yet that's because your mechanism prevents us from telling you and prevents you from seeing that. But where we see it a little bit, first glimpses, I would say in the Aurora competence framework, which is both a language and a tool to insert also other competences than subject expertise into the learning outcomes of subject-focused course modules and degree programs. Service learning and co-creation as a pedagogical didactical concept to tie subject expertise with what it serves for in society. Sustainable campus, where we try to make some steps, and then blended internationalization. So where digital and international come together. I think these are the areas where we see the first glimpses of transformation, but it's really very, very soon to tell. And it's still a bit isolated. And in the next 4 to 6 years, we want to see how the stone in the pond begins to ripple, and the ripples will reach out to the end of the pond. So that's my 5 minutes, Kostas.
Thank you very much, Kees. You know, you make me feel better and less stressed. But thank you. This is the reality that also revealed in the last meetings in Barcelona, that we were all of us, you know, there, that a lot of people, the European Commission asked, what is a transformation? But all of the alliance, they replied, it's very hard to have, you know, transformations as you mean them, because there are the available tools in order to accelerate this process. Thank you very much, Kees. I provide the floor to Joseph and then to Dimitrios.
Thank you, Kostas. Thank you, Kees, for these points. Let me start, let's say, by the book. I tried to answer the question that was raised, but first of all, I need to say that we have 2 secretaries generals, the former and the present of Athena, and we have one leader of the working package, Tatiana Welzer, also here of research. So I'd like to invite them right now at the beginning to contribute if I am not detailed enough. So I mentioned that I would start by the book. So it means that I'm speaking about Athena. It's an acronym for Advanced Technology Higher Education Network Alliance. And of course, it's a European university. And it draws on combined strengths of alliance members. That's clear, like the other university. And what's the vision, the existing vision, to deliver high quality education with a positive impact on research, youth employability, and social advancement at the national, regional, and European levels. That's very nice. In reality, of course, we try to address all this, but let me clarify at the beginning that even the high quality education is stressed in this vision. All this is research based, and it is of course also innovation driven. This challenging part, Kostas, what we gained, what are the changes in on procedures at the member organizations. We can discuss it relatively widely, but I think that the main contribution is the cooperation and the learning from each other. I know that it sounds maybe quite predictable, but that's the real value, because we went from this visionary level down to the earth, down to cooperation in the field of research. We compared the programs, and of course we all this reflected to the local community and to the societal impacts. So that I am aware, of course, Keith, you mentioned this dilemma of European Union and the different difficult tasks that they gave to us in this context, of course. But I think that this first phase of European universities has a result, and there is kind of a prosperity. So I'm quite optimistic. But at the end, I would like to repeat that. We would like to stress two integrative assets of Athena that were performed until now in the field of research, but it is related also to innovation and education. It's the shared resources directory. It's kind of a CRIS system, and the Athena research books. So because all these projects with so different partners, like we are, at least in Athena, and I believe that also in other European universities, they need some common delimit. I would say something that we could claim as something common. So it means that we could exchange our views and look at our capabilities and possibilities. So thank you. That would be for beginning.
Thank you very much, Joseph. I will add also the research grant office that we are creating through the Athena, but in the future will be more mature in order to present. And now the floor to Professor Karadimas, Dimitrios. What about civis? Thank you.
Thank you, Kostas. Let me start by thanking again you, your university, and your alliance for organizing this very informative, important, and certainly useful event. So let's go to the subject. Civis is a Latin word, which means citizen or fellow citizen. So it is clear from the very beginning, from the name of our alliance, that at the heart of our vision, there lies the development of strong links between our alliance and its member universities on the one side, and the local communities on the other. This is the first point. And the second is that civis has or aspires to have a strong, to create a strong orientation towards global challenges. And we are going to address some of them through high quality education and research. There are 5 hubs, as we call them, wider thematic areas, which aim at meeting 5 major global societal challenges. I will briefly mention them. 1, climate, environment, energy. 2nd, society, culture, heritage. 3rd, health. 4th, cities, territories, mobilities. And 5th, digital and technological transformation. So we're going to develop educational research programs primarily, not only, but primarily around these areas. Now, having said that, I need to mention what one expects included in the vision of European University. We envision CIVIS as a space for innovative and high-quality teaching, research, and also cultural exchanges and citizen action across Europe and our institutions. And one central also point in our mission and vision is the close and lasting cooperation with universities from University of Africa and the wider Mediterranean area. So, summing up quickly, our vision is for CIVIS to design new educational, pedagogical, and mobility models, to pursue high-quality research, to improve social inclusiveness and geographical balance, and to contribute to the social, cultural, economic development and dynamism at both levels, local and global. Now, concerning the second question about transformations, I think that Keys, our first speaker, gave a very good description of the situation of this phase, especially when pinpointed the problems that exist with the existing European mechanism, which do not facilitate our work. Anyway, in order to be concrete, I tried to find something, and although it's early to speak of transformations and big changes, I think that the reforming impulse that the institution of the European universities brings with it is already visible in some details, at least in our case. I could mention some small examples from the academic level, from the level of relations with the local community, and also from the administrative one. At the academic level, some things which we have done in our university. After a relevant decision of the Senate, the departments were given the right to include in their programs courses in a foreign language, mostly English. They could not do this earlier. Courses include courses as elective ones, which are mainly addressed to the students of CIVIS universities, but not only, also to Erasmus students and other international students. And also the departments were given the right to update their syllabus before the start of each semester, something which was done earlier once a year, before the start of each academic year, so that educational needs that may arise during an academic year can be met. And this was something which resulted from discussions within CIVIS. And I will also mention the possibility of cooperation of doctoral theses. There is a co-tutel agreement between all the universities, which makes the cooperation for the supervision, cooperation for supervision, easier for students and professors alike. Now, in terms of our university's relations with the local community, please, Kostas, when my time finishes, tell me.
Go on. Don't worry.
So, in terms of these relations with the local community, the change was perhaps more visible, more important. In our institution, there was no tradition of institutional cooperation with the local community and social partners. And this is what we try to develop in the context of CIVIS through the open labs that had exactly this goal: for the university to collaborate with local stakeholders and social partners and identify problems of local society and seek for answers and solutions in common. Now, just an explanation. The fact that there was no tradition of institutional cooperation with the local community does not mean that there was no cooperation of professors, all of departments. Of course, there was cooperation with associations, organizations, etc. But what I mean is that this was not done in an organized way, and that various things were happening that the university did not know about and did not record. So this social orientation of cities gave us also the opportunity to record these activities and also increase in this way our self-awareness, so to say. There is another example from the administrative level, but okay, it's not need to. There is no need to insist on that. Thank you, Kostas.
Thank you, Dimitrios, for keeping the time and very informative information that you provided to us. And now I will move to our colleague. I have some questions, but I will ask my questions later on. I will provide the floor to Sebastian for the next, let's say, 10 minutes maximum. Sebastian, you should discuss with us the following. What are the first lessons and challenges that they have been learned from the European Commission level about the first experiment? And then I will move on to you. What do you think is the future of the European universities initiatives? Sebastian, thank you very much. Sebastian is going to discuss with us. He's not going to sing with us because I can see the guitar at the background. But the floor is yours, Sebastian, to enlighten us with your input from another perspective.
Thank you, Kostas. So I think that the three little presentations of the specific cases you're working on in European universities are ideal to start with the trying to answer this question around what are how are European universities developing and working together. And I think that the first one I'd like to highlight, the first point, is the deep question of why work together. And here I liked a lot Dimitrios's specific details of explaining how, for example, by being part of Civis, it was possible to start teaching in a foreign language, to open this possibility to departments, or how it was possible to develop cooperation with the local community, which had not been done previously by the university. And I think these are fundamental examples because they show what a European university can bring to each individual university. They're very important to ask because often, and I know Kees and Aurora have thought about this, but if you take the question of saying that research impact is not contradictory with societal impact, of course that can be done at an individual university level. You don't need to be part of a European university to tackle this question. And in many cases, some of the European universities have this grand vision, but actually they haven't worked out what the European university contributes to this grand vision. So why do this together when we could do it alone? And this is very important because I think, and this would be my second point, for a European university to work, it needs to be fully embedded in each individual university's strategy. And I think this means both the bottom up, so having professors who think, wow, this opens possibilities for me, having students who think, wow, this changes my perspective, I can follow courses there. But it also means top down. It means that the university leadership needs to be fully engaged and needs to feel that their European university is aligned with the strategy of their own university. So that thanks to the European university, I can push my strategy forward. So this is, if you want, it's a very pragmatic approach. But if the European university is not perfectly aligned with the political vision of the individual university, it doesn't work. And I think that is really the key challenge for European universities. The alignment of the strategy at a global level with that of the individual institutions. And I'd go one step further, and I'd say that when it's not aligned, then it's better if the university leaves the alliance. And in some cases, this has happened. It's not necessarily negative. But if you stay on board an alliance with which you are not aligned, then basically it's not going to work for you and it's not going to work for the alliance. And then I'll go to a more general third point, which is, I find really fascinating, is what European universities are about politically is building Europe. And building Europe is more important than ever. And in the first meetings of rectors, where there were these sort of little conflicts which emerged, and I initially thought these were anecdotal. And after 4 years working with many European universities, I really deeply think we have a systemic issue, and a systemic issue at a European level between a northern, I'm going to be stereotypical here, so don't take it like that. So between a Nordic vision of what a university is and is about, I'd say an Eastern one and a Southern one. And again, I'm being stereotypical, but the level of conflict and difficulty is enormous. And I'll give you one example, just one, and it's a very minor one, but it's one which for me was suddenly realizing how people conceive of words in different ways. So take multilingualism. Multilingualism seems an obvious European value. And I remember one meeting when I had 3 rectors from Eastern Europe who came to me and said to me, please, Sebastian, can you explain that we never want to hear the word multilingualism again? And I said, why? And the answer was because the French and the German universities are using multilingualism as an excuse to continue using French and German. And we want to be on an equal footing with English. And of course, this is something I had never thought of, but this example is there for so many things. And so I think this is something which is deeply political and which really requires a lot of patience and a lot of idealism. But it demonstrates why European universities are so important, because we need to build a common shared European vision. And that's where in European universities, I would say it's particularly important for universities from Southern and Eastern Europe to be able to speak up and bring their opinions. In some alliances where there is too much domination from Northern and Western universities, then there's a feeling that the vision of what a university is this one, and we're going to export it to the East and to the South. And obviously, in many cases, there are things which do work better. So Dutch universities, for example, are highly advanced, and we can learn a lot from them, and we should learn a lot from them. But learning from them is not imposing a vision of how a university works. And so that would be my third general message, in the sense of why I think European universities are very important, but also how difficult and how challenging it is to work together to try and build this common vision. Then maybe briefly, I can move to your second question, Kostas, which I think was, what is the future of the European university initiatives? And there the answer is that no one knows. The European Commission has no idea, the member states have no idea, and the universities have no idea. So the future is something you have to build. And why is this the case? Well, fundamentally, it's the case because the European University Initiative is not about European universities. It is about the transfer of sovereignty over higher education away from the member states. But no one can admit that. Certainly not the European Commission, which has no competence over higher education, and neither the member states. It's too early. This discussion will be on the table in 10 years' time. The European universities are laying the ground for a transfer of competence, but we can't say it and we can't admit it. And this makes it fascinating, but also very complex, because alliances are about a deep political change at a European level. But you could say that even if they all failed in practical terms, so long as this transformation happened, the process would have been a success. So it has this deep implication that each European university must define what success means. And in some cases, so if I take a few cases, for example, if you take the European University of Technology, they've defined success as a full merger. One president, one board, one budget, 9 campuses distributed across Europe. It is massively ambitious, but it makes sense for them because they are small, specialized universities that have a lot to gain by merging in terms of student offer, in terms of research potential, in terms of visibility. For others, something like this would make no sense at all. Oxford, for example, is not going to disappear tomorrow. It would be stupid. So they have no intention to integrate and no intention to change their strategies, and that is normal. That is the case for many of the most research-intensive alliances. Not all, but many of the research-intensive alliances. For the majority of the European universities, it is a great opportunity, but it's one that requires careful thought. And there is no one-size-fits-all suggestion here. There's no one good solution. There's really, I think, I would even say that that would be counterproductive. I think this is something which each alliance must define because each alliance is a unique case. And I'll stop here so as not to monopolize the discussion.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Very fruitful inputs, and thank you very much for sharing your opinion with the rest of us. And questions that will come during the Q&A session. I would say you are the second Wales here, because we have Gareth Owens, that he comes from Wales as well. Now I remember that you are coming from Wales, so I can see another compatriot of yours, within the audience. Now I would like to move to Joseph. I'm jumping the questions because some people, you have some obligations. So I would like Joseph and Dimitrios then to share with us about what are the plans, how to sustain in time the operation of the alliance that you participate beyond this funding period. Because for me, and this is a question that I will make to Sebastian later on, how European Commission invests such a big amount of money, such a big effort, of course, from very few universities, because 90% of the universities don't participate, in something that is not clear, like what's going to be the future, or is a little bit, more like an experiment for the moment. So Joseph and Dimitrios, the question is like, what are the sustainability plans of the alliance that you participate beyond this supporting funding period? The first is Yorgos, and then Dimitrios. Thank you.
Thank you, Kostas. But you forgot Stefania.
No, I have not forgotten. I know. No. I have not forgotten anyone. I'm just handling my time differently now after some requests.
Yes. So I'm not going to go into discussion about what we heard. And I think that the European Union or the Commission itself, even if it's not clear for, but I think that they gave us a possibility to build something new. So that I agree with the claim that alliances are political projects, that they are building on the European values, however we understand them. I'm personally, as a member of Athena, I'm looking forward to continue these projects. So, of course, let me add something to the first part of my talk. Quoted the existing vision, the former vision. Of course, it is now in the process of upgrade by directors, by top-level leadership. But let me go back to the question of Kostas. You asked me about the sustainability of this alliance. Of course, this sustainability is based above all on the fulfillment of the vision that has been followed by many implementation activities in these 3 years. joint activities in the field of higher education, research, innovation, including the technology transfer. So I think that when you build a solid procedures and results in these fields, that it brings sustainability by itself, of course. So, of course, further sustainability can be achieved and by awareness, active involvement, and support of the highest level decision makers. When we look at 9 members of Athena, we've been in the group, and we are still in the group, in the alliance. That was not equal for all of them. And how to achieve this equal treatment at both levels, at performative level and at the level of decision makers, it is the answer to the sustainability. The project, the concept of the alliance can be sustainable just if it works. So I think that Athena already demonstrated the benefits and discovered many hidden potentials, let's say, of this partnership. And all this is contributing to the growth of excellence that brings sustainability, again, this word, of the alliance and of each member institution too. So that would be my contribution to this sustainability part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And the floor to Professor Karadimas, to Dimitris.
Thank you, Kostas. I will talk about first about the viability of our alliance and every alliance. I think that it depends on the willingness of individual institutions to maintain the alliance, as well as on political and economic factors. If the political will of the individual institutions to maintain the alliance is taken for granted, and if the European Union policy on the issue of European universities will remain stable, it will not assume, I don't know, negative or inhibitory characteristics, then okay, the factor, in this case, the factor we must consider and pay more attention to is the financial one. And I'm coming to this now because this is what we are asked to comment on now. Civis already has a work package aimed at the possibility of finding funding outside the known European funding tools. Also, in view of the creation of joint educational activities, which means not only courses and modules, but also undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So in view of all this, the discussion has begun on the imposition of tuition fees and on which of these programs in order to ensure their sustainability. And finally, in the first phase of our alliance, 1922, there was a first discussion and investigation into the possibility of Civis becoming a separate legal entity. This issue, I think, will move on now in this next period, and probably there will be a solution in that, a decision. So the creation of a legal entity will facilitate the handling of common financial issues and the search for sources of funding for the alliance as an alliance. I believe that it's very important for the sustainability of every alliance to be able to appear in the form of a legal entity. These are some basic points, Kostas, for the moment at least. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitrios. Both your positions of Joseph and yours has created some questions that we're going to discuss later on. And now I'm moving to dear Stefania in order to explain to us how Web2Learn is collaborating with the European University, and describe us within 5 minutes your initiative. And I will close the discussion with the input of the students. We have here the president of the Athena ESN, which is Athena we are very proud of. We created the first ESN network in the alliance level. And George will close this roundtable before the discussion. The floor now is to Stefania to share with us her experiences working with the alliances, and then to George. Stefania, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Kostas, for inviting Web2Learn to this fruitful roundtable discussion. Hi, everyone. I'm representing Web2Learn. It's an R&D company in Greece, and we are working with European universities and networks for over a decade now. So what I would like to bring in today's discussion as a contribution is a particular topic we are working on with European universities for over a year now. It's the topic of resilience of academic institutions in challenging times. To be more specific, since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, we are very much motivated to study and to understand what's the impact and the reaction of European universities in managing the Ukrainian humanitarian crisis. And in this context, we have developed 2 Erasmus Plus projects. The first one is Baltics for UA, and as you can see from its acronym, we are collaborating with universities in the Baltics and Ukraine. And the second one is called Agile, that is coordinated by University Paris 8 together with other European universities. So what we're trying to do in both projects briefly is that we are focusing on the resilience of higher education systems and how they can address the needs of refugees, and through social participation and through recognizing the skills they acquire through their learning pathways. Now, for both projects, we have produced 2 open access studies, and I'll be glad to share with you the links of the studies on the chat. Both studies are a first systematic mapping of both institution-led and community-led actions. So we are seeing universities as living organisms. So we are trying to bring a more focus on bottom-up actions by university students and teaching staff, rather than seeing universities as an ivory tower that are not in direct contact with society. In terms of transformations, what I would like to highlight in this discussion is, and what we are trying to do with our European partners, is that we want to move beyond, let's say, a top-down approach, a top-down interpretation of academia's capacity to forge institutional and societal resilience. What we want to do is to encourage more participatory, more students-led actions for a social purpose and means of individual and national resilience, particularly in times of crisis, as the Ukrainian humanitarian crisis, which will not be, unfortunately, the last crisis that European universities and Europe as a whole will need to face. And I think I'm over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefania. You led, the continuation of the discussion very nicely. So I will provide the floor to George. I totally agree with you. This is not the last one. We live in Crete. I have a strong collaboration with Israeli universities. I can see now what is happening and how many projects they are under risk. But the project is not the important thing. It's like, the prosperity and the resilience of the people, particularly in Middle East, from both parts. But also we have experienced this within the European border. I will provide now the floor to our students, George Psaltakis, who is also a national representative of Greece in European Commission, and we are very happy as a university that this is the first one that we have assigned as a student representative. And I would like to ask you, George, what are the expectations from the student perspective from the European University Alliances? And what are your suggestions to the leaderships of these European alliances for the inclusion of students? Thank you, George.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me in this roundtable. I think, in my opinion, the primary beneficiary of the European Universities Initiative ought to be, and in some instances already is, the students from each university. As mentioned already by the European Commission, students from its alliance should be in the driving seat of the alliance. What that means? That means that students should be in the governance, in the work packets, and be able to help take the decisions needed for its alliance. So in order to promote a more student-centered approach for the alliance, the students need to help in making all the important decisions for the alliance. I think that's one of the main crucial points that some alliances are already doing, and I think it's very important. Recognizing the different student groups that you might have in an alliance and different motivations is crucial, and you have to identify and collaborate those which are initially motivated. This doesn't have to be the case with all the students at the beginning. You just have to find some students that will continue and will help you and will try to make the European University Initiative work from a student perspective. This will ensure the program's success from the students' perspective. And ESN Athena is also one of those initiatives where we created a federation of 8 ESN sections of all the ESN sections that were participating in the European University, which will in turn increase the mobilities of the universities within the alliance and the students, and it will have a better community for them to come when they visit. They will be more easy and prone to make the decision of going on mobility, and it will be more easy to get involved with the alliance. That's also one of the initiatives that we are doing, but we are not stopping with the ESNs. We have almost all of our student councils, but as I mentioned before, different motivations from its prospective students doesn't have to discourage you, and you have to work with the people that are willing to work in the beginning. And I think in the next time and in the continuous of time, more of the people will work as well because they will see the impact of the project themselves. So that's my suggestion for a better student representation, is to try and to work with what you have and with the most motivated of the groups that you have from its partner university, and then build from that.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, all of you, for your contribution. I hope that I have not forgotten anyone, because Joseph made me stressed. So now the time is for the questions. Thank you very much for keeping the time. I have some questions, but I will provide the floor first to the audience before I will start my questions to you. So please raise your virtual hand if you have any question. I prefer to directly ask the question to our panelists. They told me to count up to 10. Okay, earlier. The floor is to Nuno Escudeiro, who is the coordinator and now the current General Secretary of the Athena Alliance. Nuno, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much, Costa. Thank you very much, first of all, for organizing this session, this series of 4 roundtables that is running since Monday.
We have another one tomorrow. We have another one tomorrow. So
all right, good. Good, and thank you very much also for our distinguished panelists to join us. I have a question, well, for the panelists and in general, if someone wants to add, because many of the initiatives from the alliances are very much linked to an holistic vision of higher education in Europe that is not biased or constrained by the different national regulations that you have in this level, which is a very hot topic and a very tough decision or topic also for the national governments. The Commission, as we know, is working on this with the member states, but probably we have experience or suggestions of initiatives that the Commissions, either together with the 50 together or somehow in initial initiatives at each one of the member states that you can suggest so that we can boost this. This is an issue to be fixed in the next 2 or 3 years, not in 20 years. But the speed at which this is evolving, so to have this commitment and to have this deeper involvement of the member states in creating these more flexible conditions for higher education that will empower the European universities then to bring these innovative measures to the floor. Yeah, thank you.
The floor to Sebastian.
So just briefly on that, Nuno, it's an incredibly complex question, of course. What surprises me is the level of discussions which exists between member states. So to give you one example, when put on the floor, hey, could we merge two public universities across European borders? I have a feedback from 3 different ministers in 3 different countries, and the reaction was not, "You're totally crazy, I'm not even going to open the discussion." It was, "That is a very interesting question. Let us discuss it in depth. My legal services in my ministry are going to tell me I'm crazy, but I don't mind. I want to open the question." So that doesn't answer your question, but it does say that there are a number of member states who are willing to discuss this. And of course, this is at a big level, say a measure, but this is true also for the other regulations. The difficulty is that it's complex, it takes time, there are conflicts.
Thank you very much, Sebastian and Nuno, for the question and the answer. I will read a question that our colleague from Aurora, before he leaves, before he left, he would like to discuss. And he said, like, I will leave before the discussion. I will be curious to hear how other alliances see the balance between using the alliance to help improve the member universities and using the alliance to create something common. So the floor is yours, one of the panelists. You know, I mean, if you would like me to read again, then he would like your opinion. It's like how using the alliance to help improve the member universities and using the alliance to create something common. What is the balance within your alliance? I will say, from my opinion, from my university, that for us as an HMU, Athena European Alliance, it was like, it is a great opportunity to get improved because we have to learn a lot of things. I think as a small university, Sebastian mentioned this, it's a great opportunity for us through collaboration to raise our opinion, but also work together with the others in order to improve in education, research. Now I have, you know, ideas how to collaborate with the local society and how to address the local needs. And through our collaboration with the Alliance, we have created some common activities. For example, yesterday we had the quality assurance from the German accreditation company about a new Erasmus Mundus. It was the first one that we are getting. We participate. Through, you know, the European Alliance, I got a Fulbright scholarship that I will go to the States, and one of my missions is like how European Alliance work in order, you know, colleges in the States to collaborate. We have more than 1,500 now courses in English through our course catalog that we are going to use for our incoming students. What, you know, we have experienced, even though that we are small, but probably more flexible because I'm a physicist. So the smaller the mass, the more flexible you are, the faster the acceleration that you receive. Is like little bit, you know, the big universities, they are slower in order to collaborate more deep with us or to do joint things. So this is my answer to, for us it's quite balanced, but we could see, you know, the Alliance as a bigger opportunity to do much more things as a university through the Alliance. The floor is to Dimitrios.
Yeah, thank you, Kostas. Just to react to this question, only a few words. It's a question of balance. In my mind, these 2 dimensions are complementary to each other. They can coexist. And the university, at the same time, when it improves some internal things, can cooperate and create common programs or whatever else. So, okay, just that. They can be both at the same time in the short and the long run.
Thank you, Dimitrios. This is exactly what I have experienced in our case through the Alliance. It's like, it's complementary, can go together. Now I have another question to our student from my side. I will start with the student, our student. So, you know, the students, and I follow the discussion that we had on Tuesday about with ESN International, the European Student Association representative, that they would like a role. But at the same time, I would like to say how to motivate students beyond the heavy schedule they have to participate in this experiment that needs a lot of involvement, needs a lot of devotion. So how to motivate students to get engaged? Because students, they would like to get engaged, but how to motivate them? George, the floor is yours.
So I think it's more important that we make sure that we focus on the benefits that students might have, and I think it's also important that and it's also important to make sure that we are able to reach the information to the students, because the main channels might not be enough for them. So, for example, just by sending an email or just by uploading something in the social medias of the Alliance or something like that, this might not reach the students effectively, or this might not be able for the students to understand or comprehend what exactly it is or how it benefits them. So I think it's important that we create that alliances create a network of professors that let the students know during classrooms, for example, like in the beginning of the courses, like, hey, Athena European University, for example, has this opportunity. This will be very great. It doesn't require that much effort from you, and you will be able to do this. It will be good, in order to make sure to give them some context on what this is and how they will be able to help them. Because I think most of the students are at the end of the day a bit scared, and most of them are not getting the information correctly or at the same time effectively.
Thank you very much, George. And I have another question that I have to Dimitrios. You mentioned about legal entity. This is like the next big step, I would say, and I totally agree. But what kind of, Sebastian, you would like to comment for the student or about legal entity?
Legal entity, I'll let Dimitrios comment.
Yes, of course, yes. Dimitrios, what kind of tools do you existing tools? Because in the Athena, we are checking the existing tools, but they don't fit for the university. So you should somehow experiment with them, or, you know, make a proposal of something hybrid of the existing ones. What is the case in Civis? Thank you.
Now, Kostas, okay, as far as I remember, because as I told you, the discussion took place at the beginning of the first phase, and then we stopped there expecting something from the European Union. But this something is not going to come, obviously, so we will start again the discussion. So, as far as I remember, the conclusion we had arrived at that time was that an association, according to the Belgian law, which is a loose association, and this is for the beginning. Later, the universities can decide to change and things differently, make things differently. But at this point, we had arrived at this conclusion: an association, according to the Belgian law. I don't remember now exactly the name. Which was acceptable from our point of view. There were some hesitations from the Swedish university in our alliance, and another one, as far as I can remember. But anyway, we're very close to arrive at an agreement between us. So it's very probable that soon we will be able to have a legal entity. But okay, it's a loose one, which does not give does not detract authority and power from the universities, and allows them from the individual universities, and allows them to cooperate more closely.
So thank you very much, Dimitrios. Yeah, Sebastian, the floor is yours. Thank you. and which are closed.
Just to complement what Dimitrios has just said, there are now about nearly 10 European universities who've created legal entities. There are very different types. The Belgium Association is one of the main ones. So to take a few examples, Una Europa or UNIS have created such a legal entity. There are others. You also have EGTCs, which in particular was pioneered by EPICOR or UCOR before the European universities existed. And there are at least now 4 different types of legal entities. All these legal entities enable you to do things together. So they're useful, but they have no impact on the existing university. So there's no transfer of responsibility. So they don't enable further integration. So exploring it with creating an entity. But if you take the CERN in Geneva or the European Institute in Florence, to take a couple of examples, these are actually, so Europe is not involved, it's intergovernmental agreement. You create a new entity. In theory, because this new entity is created by intergovernmental agreement, it should then be possible to transfer competencies from existing public universities to this new legal entity. And so this is a bit of a crazy exploration, but which we're looking at, because alliances which are ambitious, for them, a legal entity serves absolutely no purpose because it changes nothing apart from just being able to do a few things together as a tool. But of course, the European Commission is not able to even talk about this because it's a bit terrifying because it involves a very deep change in terms of the way how things are proceeding. There are 4 pilot projects underway around legal entities currently. At a European level. So the results should be out in about 6 months' time. We don't expect that any of the results will change the picture dramatically at this stage.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. This is also my impression after the Barcelona meeting about this. Nothing new. They just, recirculate existing ideas. And this is my last question because we have to finish to Sebastian. Sebastian, what do you suggest to the European Commission as a next steps? Let's say hypothetically that you are Mario Schinas or whoever is leading the Commission. What do you suggest them to do in order to support and promote and support the people that they are working for the European alliances? What do you suggest to the European Commission to do? Just tell me maximum 3 things.
I suggest nothing, because it's the member states which have to do. The European Commission has no competence, so they can do nothing useful. So this is a decision for the ministers of the member states. And it needs to be a group of countries, because you'll never get all 27 to agree, but a group of countries that decide to go one step further. And so I think that it's at this level that the next steps of transformation will happen. Once they go further, then it can go back to the European Commission. And it's a bit like Bologna. The European Commission formally played no role in the Bologna process. It was led by the national states. So that would be my message. It's really at the national level that we must push the ministries to promote change and transformation.
Thank you very much. This is a very nice message for the next National Rectorate meeting that we will have in Greece, in order to push them, to support really if they believe on this, let's say, vision. So thank you very much, all of you, for this fruitful discussion that we have. I will make a summary of all these roundtables that we have in order to share with you with the conclusions, the discussions that we had. Ευχαριστώ πολύ in Greek, because we would like to be multilingual.
Ευχαριστούμε, Κώστα. Ευχαριστούμε.
Thank you. And I hope that you will join us tomorrow. We have a roundtable about the impact of artificial intelligence into the higher education. So until tomorrow or until next time, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
We are very appreciative.
Bye.
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 Thank you.